I realized it's been 5 months since I made my last devlog, and that's a big whoop, so that's a my bad. So I'm going to do a quick rundown for this intro of all the things that have changed in Desperation. Combat, changed that. Maps, updated that. Boss, we got one. Crafting and buying, got that now. But the most important, Steam page, now live. We'll get into a lot of these, but we'll start here. To give a 5-month recap is basically I did an entire combat rehaul. I like the idea of tile-based combat as it's an easy way to give players simple rules while still having a lot of fun things you can do with it. But after some time and playing, I decided I want Desperation to have more of a real space combat, kind of like a Baldur's Gate 3 or 2-1, Divinity, and all those. I changed the way abilities work to go off of needing locations and specific targets. I gave movement a massive quality of life update where it takes the location of the player's cursor, displays the path the character will take to travel to that location, and then break that displayed path apart to show action points needed to get to those locations. Enemies also telegraph this information when they move as well. I added what I'm calling the smart ability system, where melee abilities can use this walk inherently in their attack, so you don't have to cast two different things to just attack one target. You don't have to cast a walk to the target and then cast the ability. You can do that all in one go now. Ranged and melee abilities both got updated to use line of sight as well, so they can't hit targets through walls. There are some abilities that are exceptions to this rules, as those abilities just might be more fun with a more grand AoE. But for the most part, they all have this line of sight. I made this really cool new reticle system that takes static meshes as collision components. This way I can kind of make whatever shapes I feel like. I can make abilities use a star, a crescent moon. I can make them use a line or a cone based off of just any static mesh I make. So I can just go into Blender, make an object, and put it in the game and use that as a reticle. My last video went over parts of procedural generation and updated how the game makes branching paths. I've also updated this recently as well. To start, I created these new tree sprites. I created 2 of them that are 2D rather than 3D. I love the look of these as they kind of fill out the world and make them deeper. And I love the way it makes the world feel a lot more lived in. I love the way that they overhang and overlap, making the world feel more natural. With these changes though, I didn't want the trees to get in the way of the player and the camera, and then the little nooks and crannies in the forest can be quite dark. So I added ambient occlusion to feather the trees if they kind of get in between the camera and the player, but then I also add this little wisp that lights up the player's paths to help them see. I really love the look of this. I really feel like this just made what I'm calling the overworld, which is the map, this area. It feels more natural and fun to walk around. But on top of this, the other biggest thing I did with the maps is I added a new way to assign locations. This used to go off of the procedural generation, and it would assign a tile and say you could possibly be a location off of a chance, and then that would be very grid-like. I changed this to use the map overseer actor, which is just an actor I have that controls all map related events, to have a new event called assign locations, and this takes navigational space, so space that the nav mesh still has, and then does a whole bunch of checks at any random location in that navigational space. There are checks to obviously go over, like make sure they're not overlapping and everything, because I don't want buildings to overlap each other, and a couple other things. But these locations are determined by data table entries, which are based off of region and map tier. Certain maps have higher or lower chances of specific buildings, like the new crafting and building location, which I'll talk about here in a moment, or the improved character buy camp. These give locations a more natural feel because they're being displaced in ways the player can now kind of think about how they want to move around and get around obstacles. But then it also creates a system I can use later on for more world items like chests, minables, or any other interactable objects. I added a little bit of polish to these locations as well to display their interaction zone. This is nice to let the player better kind of plan their movements around the game and kind of squeeze in between other locations. Updating buildings though, we now have the crafter and seller. This is a new tile where they have these two new characters that you can interact with and have a crafting experience or a buying experience. These both use a new recipe system to give or take specific resources based off that item and based off of who they are. This system is very important to the economy in Desperation and will have a lot of work done later on in the lifecycle Desperation as I kind of get further into doing that economy. For the improved camp, for the player buying camp, there's now a new system. It spawns between 1 and 3 characters based off of the region and what characters they can be purchased in that region, and now displays their information before they need to get bought. And then if you do buy one, they kind of walk away and walk out as if now they're joining your team. I don't have quite a solution yet where if you buy one and your team is full, because that also goes into economy of the game and how I want to handle that. So for now, they just get put in your over full camp roster and get pushed out until your next run. I feel like adding some more pizzazz to the game though, as instead of just starting here at the camp, I wanted the players to open up and finally have their home screen. So I made a new home screen level and I made this cool, fun, interactive sign. I had fun making this, and I think it's just a nice little intro to the game with some kind of unique interactions, not being a widget, but more physical. It's just kind of a nice touch. I had a lot of fun making it. It really shows like the feel of the game just from this. Because I also updated, as you can see, the Desperation tree. I updated the sprite of it. It is a lot more akin to the very beautiful capsule art that I had purchased. It's just a lot more scary. It's a lot closer to the look that I've been updating the game to be. There are some other features and new changes. Things like I had updated a lot of the UI elements. I've been adding effects and items cleansing effects, and I have a whole boss. But this video has been going on long enough, honestly, and I'll talk about those another time as I kind of flesh them out and they're more specific to that development process. One more change I do want to mention though, as I'm kind of wrapping this video up, is the biggest change, and that is Desperation now has a Steam page. This is super exciting for me, as it's my first project I've worked on that has a Steam page, and we currently are sitting at 38 wish lists, which is just crazy to me. If Desperation is something you think you like to play in the future as it's being developed and coming out, please feel free to give it a wish list or like or subscribe to this video and my channel. These things go a long way. Just seeing big Ooga Booga number go up is very exciting for me. And if you guys have any suggestions or critiques on what you've seen now or what you'd like to see in the future for Desperation, feel free to comment as well. I'm hoping to start getting back into doing devlogs and trying to do them once a month. So I'll see you next month. Hopefully I don't do another 5-month hiatus. I'll see you later. I hope you have a good one.